Welcome to TRN Podcast, episode 99. The news we're discussing today is deeply unsettling and incredibly sad. Imagine opening the news and reading about a horrific incident in the quiet Weimar land region, specifically in a village called Klettbach. Our sources are reporting the deaths of an entire family under truly tragic circumstances.
Yes, it's certainly shocking news coming out of Thuringia. The information we have points towards a potential extended suicide. The reports suggest a father, who was a police officer, allegedly killed his wife and two children before taking his own life.
Right. And it's important for us today to look at the reported facts and the immediate reactions, just as they've been described in the news reports.
Exactly. That's the aim, to understand what's been reported so far.
So let's start with how this tragedy came to light, the discovery of the bodies. According to the reports, the family was found on the morning of April 11th, 2025. That was a Friday. It was around 6:50 a.m., a terrible discovery in a single-family home in Klettbach near the village pond.
And how did that discovery actually happen? What led the police there?
Well, the information suggests an emergency call was made to the State Operations Center at about 6:30 a.m.
Okay, so fairly early.
Yes, and the first police officers arrived on the scene pretty quickly, around 6:50 a.m., but apparently they couldn't get immediate access to the house.
Right. I saw that firefighters were called in around 7 a.m. to open the door. A grim task for them.
Absolutely, and this awful discovery was then officially confirmed, wasn't it?
It was. A spokesperson for the Erfurt Public Prosecutor's Office confirmed it. And Christian Hackbarth, who heads the Weimar Police Inspection, also confirmed finding 4 bodies.
That official confirmation is crucial in these situations, isn't it? To sort of manage speculation and establish the known facts.
Precisely. It helps to ground the narrative in what the authorities have actually found.
So, what do we know about the people involved, the victims in this tragedy? Reports mention a family with 2 children, and as you mentioned, the father was reportedly a 49-year-old police officer. Just imagine someone tasked with upholding the law finding themselves in such despair.
That's correct. The father's age is mentioned in the sources. However, the names and specific ages of his wife and the children haven't been released in the reports we have.
That's pretty standard procedure, I suppose.
Yes, especially in the early stages. It's about protecting privacy as much as possible and not compromising the ongoing investigation.
Let's turn to the suspected circumstances then. The initial reports strongly suggest an extended suicide. What exactly are investigators thinking? What can we gather from our sources on that?
Well, the current assumption, voiced by a police spokesperson, is that the father is suspected of killing his wife and children first, and then taking his own life afterwards.
That's the initial assessment based on the scene.
Yes, based on the evidence found at the scene and the circumstances as they first appeared. But it's really important to stress this is the initial assessment. The detailed investigation by the criminal police is underway, and hopefully that will bring more clarity.
And how did the authorities react immediately after this came to light? We heard the house was cordoned off extensively. Must be shocking for the neighbors, seeing their street become a crime scene.
Yes, exactly. The house in Klettbach was sealed off over a wide area, as you said. That's standard practice to allow for careful evidence gathering.
Makes sense.
And specialist units from both the criminal police and the state criminal police office were deployed. This really underscores the seriousness of the incident and the need to collect all relevant information meticulously.
So a full investigation is underway?
Yes. What's called a death investigation procedure has been initiated. The goal is to fully clarify the exact circumstances surrounding each death.
Understandable. You need to be incredibly careful and methodical in a situation like this. Have the investigating authorities released any further details yet about the specifics or maybe potential motives mentioned in our sources?
Not at this point, no. Both the police and the public prosecutor's office are being very cautious with releasing detailed information about the cause of death or possible underlying reasons.
Right, it's too early.
It is. It's standard practice in the early phase to protect the integrity of the investigation and avoid jumping to conclusions while things are still unfolding.
Beyond the official response, we're also interested in how the community in Klettbach reacted. It's a small place, isn't it? Imagine something like this happening in your own small town.
The reaction in the community, which has about 1,300 residents, is reported as one of deep shock and horror. Klettbach's mayor, Franziska Hildebrandt, spoke to the media expressing how devastated everyone is.
Did she mention the family specifically?
She noted that the children, in particular, were well integrated into village life. That really highlights how personal this loss feels for the community, how deeply it affects people there. It shows the human stories behind the headlines.
In such an extreme situation, it's obviously vital that there's support available for people directly affected in Klettbach, but also for anyone facing similar crises. What did our sources say about support services? Where can people find help?
It was reported that a pastoral care contact point was set up in a hotel right there in Klettbach. That provides immediate support for people on the ground, which is an important first step.
That's good to hear.
And beyond that, the sources also include some really crucial, helpful information for anyone struggling with suicidal thoughts, personal crises or depression, or for those grieving someone lost to suicide.
Could you share those specific resources? It's so valuable to get this information out there, reaching people who might be in desperate situations.
Absolutely. The Telefon Seelsorge, or Telephone Crisis Hotline, is available 24/7 and free of charge. The numbers are 800-111-0101-0222. These calls are anonymous and don't appear on phone bills. Their website, www.telefonseelsorge.de, also offers email and chat support.
Okay, that's really important. Any others?
Yes, for people concerned about depression, there's the Info Telefon Depression Hotline at 0800-334-533. And the Stiftung Deutsche Depressionshilfe, German Depression Aid Foundation, is another resource. The Deutsche Gesellschaft for Suizid Prevention, German Association for Suicide Prevention, lists many free services too. They have specific numbers for young people, which is 116-111, and for parents, that's 0800-111-0550.
And for those left behind after a suicide?
There's support for them too. The organization AEGIS provides help for bereaved individuals. Their number is 0921-150-0380. And their website is www.aegis-selbsthilfe.de. They offer crucial support and self-help resources. It's just vital to know that you're not alone in these situations and there are people and organizations ready to help.
That is incredibly important information, thank you. Hopefully it reaches anyone who feels like they're in a situation with no way out. Maybe just briefly, to help place this tragedy geographically, where exactly is Klettbach? Our sources mention its location.
Yes, Klettbach is in Thuringia, about 15 kilometers, so roughly 9 miles, southeast of Erfurt, which is the state capital. So it's more of a rural area. Events like this often hit communities like that particularly hard because social networks tend to be tighter and people generally know each other well.
Right. This news from Klettbach is just profoundly tragic, and it affects us all. In moments like these, it's so important to remember that help is available. And reaching out for support is never, ever a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. The contact details for the support organizations you mentioned are a vital lifeline for anyone in crisis. Please don't hesitate to use them if you or someone you know needs help.
Absolutely. It's crucial that we as a society remain vigilant and support one another. Events like this are painful reminders of how fragile mental well-being can be, even in environments that seem stable and intact on the surface.
It really makes you think.
It does. Perhaps take a moment to consider how you can support those around you. Be aware of signs of distress, and remind yourself and others that help is always there when it's needed. The organizations we listed do invaluable work for people in crisis,